And then when you weight train, it's going to be so much easier. I had a client come in. She's like, I can never feel my butt. I'm like, okay, something's turned off. Something's rotating in your knees or your hips. Something's off and you're not connecting. So I worked really hard on her connecting to her glutes. And she's like, Amanda, I finally feel my glutes. Like my squats are better. Like I feel better in my lunges because I've been able to help her connect to her core and her body.
During the retreat, which was so fun, it was like probably one of my favorite travel things that I've done this year. You did this thing where you like looked at my body and you kind of were able to point out these imbalances. So can you tell everyone exactly how that works? Because I thought it was so cool. And I was like, this is why I'm obsessed with you.
So I definitely think, there's a lot of Pilates instructors out there. There's a lot of studios opening left and right. And the one thing that I feel like may separate me from other people is I really take the time to understand the body. So anatomy, the way the joints work, I can look at a body and know right away in 5 seconds, like where their imbalances are. It sucks for me sometimes because I'm on vacation and I'm like laying on the beach and I see people walk by. I'm like, oh my God, their spine. I'm like, oh, they're anterior tilted. They need flexion. Like I can't even relax when I'm watching people, like people watching. I know it's kind of fun to people watch, but for me, my brain just goes into a million different miles per hour.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah. So I also remember everything. I guess I would be like a savant when it comes to like Pilates and people's bodies. Like I remember your low back was kind of tight during some of the workouts. And I'm like, what's going on with her? Like in the class. And like, I think something with your IT band. So I just remember.
That's insane that you remember that. Like what
I just remember
on earth?
So like a client will go to New York and come visit me, and I won't see them for a year. And I'll be like, how's your knee, your left knee? She's like, what? How do you remember that? I'm like, I don't know, but it's in my brain. So how I train at my studio, I require everyone to do one-on-one privates. And during that, I do a full postural analysis. So I go literally from their ankles all the way up to their head. I check their spine, I check their pelvis, I check their knees, I check their feet, and I just look for the imbalances that I was trained to do. And then that way I kind of know what muscles they need to work on. So it may be nice to get a well-rounded Pilates session, right? Mm. But when you come to me, if I see those imbalances, I know the moves that work for your body to get you back to neutral. If your pelvis is super tilted, like if you are really arched in your low back, like I know that you need more flexion in your lumbar spine. So the exercises I'm going to choose for you in the routine are going to promote that flexion in the low back. And then that way, once I get the spine moving, instead of being so arched where it can cause other issues in your body, other pains, I'm going to try to balance that out so you become more neutral. So when I saw you, I was like, okay, I get it. I know why your back is hurting. And you're like, why? I was like, well, your knees are going in, so I need to work your outer thigh, outer glutes. And you're like, yeah, that area is weak on me. And I was like, well, once we strengthen that stuff, I was like, then your back will start feeling better. So I know some people when they first inquire, how do I get to your studio? Can I jump into a class? I'm like, absolutely not. I don't know you. I don't know your body. I don't know your strength. I don't know if you understand the principles of Pilates. Why would I just let you come into a class? I don't believe in that. I think everyone needs a postural analysis. I need to feel confident with my client. Yep, you need to work on X, Y, and Z. I remember it. I write it down. Next time they come in, I train them a couple more times. I'm like, yep, I know your body. I know exactly what to do. So when you do come into my class, let's say I'm doing an exercise that includes flexion in the low spine, I will go to you. I said, this move is for you. So I want you to really concentrate on rolling down in this position. That way it feels very personal. For me, checking in and out of a class and not knowing a student's name or their body or why their traps are turned on, I can't train that way. It doesn't fulfill me. I don't like it. Obviously, I've trained at many studios in the past, from teaching 8 people at once up to 18 people. And I remember waking up and being like, I don't love this. Like, I can't, by the time I adjust one person, it's time for the next move. And I was like, I can't train people like that. Some people would come in, hi, I just found out I'm pregnant. Or someone will be like, hey, I just tore my meniscus. Why are you in my 6 a.m. class with 18 people? This is not the place for you. But people don't know that, right? Like people sign up on ClassPass or any sort of, memberships, get 5 classes for this discount. I don't care about the discount. I am here to change people's lives and get them feeling good about their posture, get them connecting to the right muscle. So if you're constantly in the wrong form, you're going to overdevelop muscles that you don't want.
Yeah.
So, I know this new craze about tox trap, just Botox your traps. I don't agree with that. I know doctors are doing it left and right. And yes, I'm not a doctor, but the reason your traps are turning on is because you're out of alignment. And when you're exercising, they turn on when they should be turning off. So many years, I used to train at this one studio and there's like so many planks, side planks. And I love all of those moves. But I think when you overdo it for such a big class, most of the time people are not in the right form and their traps are on. My neck, my traps, my traps. Then you overdevelop the traps and then you get this sort of visual appearance of it being big.
Yeah.
So when you Botox your traps, then the other muscles, the surrounding muscles are now, there's more pressure on those muscles and you're still not in the right position. So you're going to go back to the studio, get in your planks and side planks, and you're going to now irritate the other muscles or not have it work properly. So I don't believe in that.
Wait, this is like my mind is like so blown right now. Okay, wait. So if someone is like really like heavy on their traps, as in like it's like always tensed and turned on, like what do you recommend?
Well, the mid and lower traps are weak. So when those muscles down there on your back are weak, then the traps come up like this. When your serratus anterior muscle is not turned on, then the traps turn on. So when I see a client, I see that their traps are totally turned on. I'm like, okay, let me teach you how to get your arm in the socket perfectly. Once your arm's in the socket, right, and you're in your neutral position, then the traps feel like putty. They're super soft. But if your shoulders are rounded forward and you can't connect to your serratus, then the traps are going to be a stabilizer muscle and turn on. So to me, I'm like, this is obviously very easy to understand, but other people are like, no one has ever told me that. I was like, that's why I don't teach group classes. I have to feel confident that I know the person's body and I am helping them to a more neutral position as much as possible.
That's, I mean, I like have to, obviously, like I've done classes as in like the privates with you. And it really is like a completely different kind of experience. Like the first time I met you, obviously, was through Allison. And I came with her and Cass. And I was like, I've done Pilates before. And my like my abs, my lats, like it's never been so sore the next day. Cause I was like, I'm feeling things that I've like never felt in my life.
Honestly, sometimes I see people and it's just a really tiny, I'll just go like that and I'll say, pull this down just a little bit and boom, they're in the position. They're like, oh my God, I feel that now. I'm like, what were you feeling for years before, So when I first train a client, I do a full postural analysis on them. I go through every single joint. Some of it's very apparent, right? I'll see someone's pelvis super tilted. Sometimes it's a little bit harder and I have to go through my old school way. I check the bones. I make sure they're all even. And then once I have that information, the next time they see me, that routine is specific for that client.
Wow.
Now I know a lot of people don't want to do privates forever and they want to get into like some sort of a group atmosphere. And that is great, but I need to feel confident that I know what to do when they're in their classes. Or like, let's say someone's working out and they're like, actually, my lower back hurts. I'm like, in my head, I think, oh, do this instead. And it automatically fixes it. Imagine going to a class and, something bothers you. You're afraid to tell the instructor. You don't want to interrupt. Or you tell the instructor and they don't really know what to do with you. Or they just change the move altogether instead of fixing the problem. Like, I'm very much like, what's the issue? Let's try to fix it. Not let's cover it up with a Band-Aid. So every client that I have, I've been on this journey with them, whether it's a postural thing, whether they're pregnant, whether they're going through IVF, postnatal. I had a client come in, she had twins. She ended up having diastasis, which is like an ab separation. So I checked her and it was 3 fingers. And I'm like, okay, we have some work to do. I showed her what to do. I gave her homework from my app. I'll send her some videos to do. She comes in, I've trained her now 6 months and she's down to a 1 finger gap. So I'm not trying to just give you a hot, cool girl body. That will come because you're working your muscles in the right posture. My whole thing is, how can I help this person in their everyday life, because once you have this Pilates understanding of your body, you can be the best runner, you can play tennis better, like, it enhances your other activities,
Mhm.
which I think is really important.
Yeah. I mean, everything that I do in Pilates, like, especially when I'm coming, like, even once a week, and, I also, like, weight train, but everything that I do in Pilates, like, helps me with that
Of
because it's,
course.
like, my mobility, like, we're, like, doing so much core work, so that helps with, like, certain moves that I'm not able to do otherwise. So, like, it
Mhm.
really is, like, such a foundational practice, and I think that, in my opinion, I feel like you can do either just a Pilates practice or like have it be a supportive thing to other things as well.
I always tell people it's an oil change for your body. So get your body organized, get it in neutral, understand how a muscle works, where you should be connecting. And then when you weight train, it's going to be so much easier. I had a client come in. She's like, I can never feel my butt. I'm like, okay, something's turned off. Something's rotating in your knees or your hips. Something's off and you're not connecting. So I worked really hard on her connecting to her glutes. She sees a private trainer on the side. And she's like, Amanda, I finally feel my glutes. Like my squats are better. Like I feel better in my lunges because I've been able to help her connect to her core and her body. So it's like little things like that. Like that's what makes what I do so beautiful, is like knowing that I'm helping somebody. I'm not just clocking in, clocking out, getting as many people. I don't care about that.
How did you even get started?
So it's funny. I was doing events for a while and at a hospitality company, and my husband's in hospitality. Mike, he owns a bunch of restaurants, and he was the first person in my life that he saw how hard I worked, and he goes, I think this job that you have, I was working 7 days a week, never said no, answered calls morning, night, worked on weekends, and he's like, I feel like you're really stressed out. You should just find something that you love to do. What?
That's so
But
nice.
what is that? I've been
Yeah.
working since I was 16. I never got to decide what made me happy. I never had that opportunity. And so I thought he was being fully nuts. And he goes, I think you should quit your job. And I was like, I've never not had a job. I quit my job. I was bored. So I started to work out. And I wasn't into working out. So sometimes people think, oh, you're into fitness. You must have been in love with fitness your whole life. No, I wasn't someone who worked out. So I just started taking a bunch of classes in LA, from running to cycling to Pilates to yoga. I tried it all and I fell in love with Pilates. And that's when I noticed my body change the most. It was crazy. And so he would come home. He's like, What'd you do today? I was like, I took 3 Pilates classes. And he's like, What? I was like, Yeah, I love it and I want to learn more about it. And my body literally, not that I recommend people doing 3 classes a day, but my body changed so much. And I remember being like, I have to tell everyone about this. Like, no one's talking about Pilates. So I was training at this studio for a while, and the instructor goes, "We're having a teacher training. Like your form is the best. I always use you as an example." I was like, I'm not gonna teach Pilates. I'm like, "Ugh, I have a college degree. I had a serious job before this." I was like, I can't teach fitness. Like I thought there was a stigma about fitness instructors, that they didn't go to college and that they were just bouncing around and working out and into protein. Like that was the image back then. And I was like, "Absolutely not." So I go home, I tell my husband, he's like, "You should do it." I was like, "I should?" And he's like, "Yeah, why not?" "Okay, you don't think it's stupid?" He's like, "No."
I love Mike.
He's the best.
So
And
supportive.
I said, "All right." So I did the teacher training, and it was not very long, and I was like, "Well, this wasn't enough," but it got my beak wet. I was like, "Okay, I need to go to a full-on certification," where it was over a year, every weekend, tons of hours learning about the body, all the different apparatuses. And I remember during that time of training, my husband we would go to dinner with some of our investors for his restaurants, and they're all like, "What do you do?" And I remember sitting there so quiet. I was so embarrassed. I'm like, "I don't really have a job right now, but I went to college," and like I felt like I had to
Oh,
explain myself
yeah.
to these people that were going to be our investors for my husband's restaurants. And I just remember being like, I don't feel comfortable at these dinners. I feel like I have nothing to talk about. I feel really insecure. And then they're like, "Oh, you teach Pilates? Like and I had just started." And I just felt, I was like, this is, and my husband kept going, "You're going to be fine. Like, babe, you love it." I was like, "Right? It's okay, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's okay." And I don't know why I just felt this shame around switching my career at 28 years old, 29, to fitness. I just had this shame about it. Then once I got into it, I was like, I'm so obsessed with this. I was telling everyone, I was like, you have to come to my class. I was feeling a little bit better about it. And then, long story short, I taught at multiple studios. And then I was teaching privately. I would go to people's homes and do house calls. And it was funny. I would literally start at 7 a.m. at the top of Benedict Canyon and literally work my way down. And I remember telling my husband, I'm like, my classes are waitlisted. People, it's all word of mouth. They're coming for me. Like, the studio's great and the machines are nice. And that was definitely, my access into Pilates. But I was like, people love the way I train.
Yeah.
And I remember one of the studio managers had told me, your classes are just too intense. I was like, they're waitlisted, all of them. So stop pushing me. And I felt like I was getting pushback.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this on my own. Like, you obviously don't like the way I train, even though all the classes are waitlisted. I'm going to do my own thing. So I started a very private 3 reformer, tiny little studio. It was in my guest house. And I remember I was getting a couple celebrities coming in and out right away, like in the beginning. And I was like, wow, this is so great. I never said no. Sunday morning, Sunday night, Friday, 8 p.m. I did not say no. I worked every single day, hours. At one point, I was probably teaching 65, maybe 70 classes a week. I couldn't stop. I was teaching 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. straight, no break. Like, I was obsessed and I loved it.
Wow.
And then my husband's like, I think you need to calm down. I was like, what? I love it. And then I told my husband, I was like, you know what? I need to expand. And he kept saying, no, what you have is private. It's so chic. You don't have a website. People are talking about you. I was like, no, I need to expand. So I ended up expanding. So I had 3 reformers, turned 6 reformers. It got full within a week and a half. I was already like so busy from word of mouth and just people booking more. And it was amazing. And then fast forward to March 2020, it's COVID. And everything has to get shut down. And this was the busiest I've ever been. Every single class waitlisted for weeks, like 1 month in advance book.
Wow.
And I remember being like, this is a joke. This is not real. And that was Sunday. We got the notification. And then Monday, people were texting me, oh my gosh, I can't come in. I can't come in. So I had to shut down my studio. That Monday, literally the first day of COVID, I have never filmed a video in my life. I was with phone, nothing. I had no stand. I started filming mat videos.
Mm-hmm.
And I had Mike sitting on a chair with his hand like this with my phone. And you're supposed to film this way.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know because I'm not good at that. He's holding the phone like this. And I'm like, okay, so while we're away for 2 weeks, I want you guys to focus on, I was doing these mat videos. And then all of a sudden, Mike's holding 30 minutes in. He's like,
oh my God.
And 5 more, I'm like, 4 more, and Mike is freaking out. And I hear him go, ooh, to put his elbow on his knee. That was my first video. I launched it with like a series of I think it was like 4 videos. And it was just aimed for my clients.
Yeah.
And it went viral. And it everybody, London, Malaysia, people were buying, New York, Miami, people were buying my videos. I couldn't believe it. I am the worst filmer. The first video, it had the black box at the top and the bottom because it was filmed this way. Grainy. I had music blaring in the background. Like, it was awful video. I don't even know how but the workout was perfect.
Yeah.
But the actual setting was horrific.
Yeah.
I didn't have a stand. Like, I couldn't get anything off Amazon, like the little stand. So once I started doing these videos, I was like, wow, this is amazing. I'm able to actually get to more people in a way that's still my teaching style. I talk through every single move. So while I'm doing every move with you, I'm not counting 10, 9, 8. Okay, we're not in school anymore. Like, let me actually talk about the muscles. And I start using anatomical cues and I start breathing with the client. And I feel like the response from the videos were, I've never connected to my muscles faster, better. My body's changing. And I just think it's the way that I cue and teach that was just so different than just being like 10 more and 5.
Yeah.
It was just so different. And then I launched my app. So then I think 9 months later, my app was built and Core Club got started, which is amazing. And it made me fall in love with mat Pilates again. And then for the retreats that you went on, that was my second retreat. I have another one coming up in March. It's been so amazing to take my reformer style workouts to the mat and give people the same results and benefit that they would get on a reformer. And it's great.
I mean, the mat classes that we did at that retreat, I was like,
you're like, what is this?
And like, this is ridiculous. Like, absolutely ridiculous. Like, your abs feel like they're ripping apart in the best way possible.
Yeah.
Like, it's incredible. So
I think Nish was like, I'm not going to tomorrow's class at 9 a.m.
Yeah,
He's like, I'm done.
Yeah, he like never made it to the 9 a.m. But
Yeah.
he made it to
He
the
made it.
3,
Yeah,
you know,
he
which
made
was
it.
great.
Yeah.
I was very proud of him. So if someone has been kind of trying all these different things and they've not been seeing results, and then they come to you and they're like, Amanda, I've never been able to see results. I've, like, what do I do here? So what do you do?
So a client recently just came to me. She was newly postpartum and she was struggling with a little bit of mommy weight, which is very normal. And I came to her and I trained her for a little bit. I saw the way she moved. I was like, okay, you have to give me 30 minutes. I'm just going to talk to you and we're going to go through the Pilates principles. I'm going to show you neutral, imprint, breathing. I want to see how your ribs move, if there's any flaring, your scapula, your neck. I got to go through some things. Will you just listen to me? Because think about it. You come in, you're expecting a workout from me the first time you see me. I'm talking most of the time. I'm looking at your joints. I'm teaching you about Pilates. If you told me to go play tennis with you, I've never played tennis. Why would I just go into a match?
Yeah.
I don't know how to play. Where does my arm go? How long? How do I do that? Same thing with Pilates. How are people just going into class? I'm just going to go into this class. What? Where? Are you breathing properly? Like, do you know what your transverse is? Like, I have to teach people just the basics. And then once they get the understanding, they're going to be 10 times better for me in my studio because they understand the principles, right? So I saw this woman, she came in a little overweight. She had, mommy weight she couldn't get rid of. I said, what are you doing? What are you doing every day? She goes, I'm doing the bike. What kind of bike? She goes, yeah, the bike, like Peloton bike. Don't say Peloton. And the bike. And I said, how long are you doing it? She's like 50 minutes every single day, not losing 1 pound. I was like, you have to stop it right now. And she's scared because she thinks high intensity cardio is going to make her lose weight. I was like, give me 1 month. I promise you 3 days a week. I'm going to teach you about your body. I'm going to have you connect to your glutes. I'm going to get the pain out of your back. I'm going to pull your ribs in. It's going to change your life. She did 1 month with me, 3 days a week. I also had her go to my nutritionist also because I believe that is a very crucial point in feeling good about your body is also the food aspect, which we'll get into. She lost 8 pounds in 1 month. And she comes in now. She used to come into my studio kind of curled like this, not confident. Sports bra, open chest. She walks in, so excited to work out. I said, whatever your routine is, you have to find something that you're obsessed with that you like to do. If you hate the workout and you don't like it and you dread getting on that bike, it is not for you. I was like, you have to get excited about your workout because guess what? We have to work out for the rest of our lives to be healthy. So enjoy what you're doing. Yes, it's going to be hard, aspects of it, but you need to love what you do. And she comes in now and she is so excited. She's 10 minutes early. It's just been amazing to watch her just transform her confidence. Like as a new mom, especially for me, is to see her walk into my studio with like an open chest and a sports bra. I'm like, good for you.
Oh,
good for you. And she's like, you've changed my life. And I literally I have chills. Like I would cry,
I love that. And I mean, you're so right. Like falling in love with the workout that you do. I feel like I had a similar journey as well, where it was like, I just couldn't find something that I loved. And actually like, I had gained 30 pounds in college. And back then it was just like, oh, you have to run. And I hated running. And so that's why I was not an active person because I hated running. And I was like, this is the only workout that I can do. This fucking sucks. And then I found Pilates like 6 months before I was supposed to graduate and I lost everything.
Right.
And I looked and felt like so strong, so incredible. And then from there, like realized, okay, I love Pilates. I love weightlifting, love boxing. Don't box anymore because of my nails.
I feel you.
Yeah. I'm like, listen, it's just not worth it. There's other workouts that I love. But like once you find that thing, it doesn't feel like a chore anymore. Like, it's going to be hard, but it's almost this like meditative thing that you do. So like, I really do agree with you. I think everyone needs to find that thing that they love.
Yeah. And it may not be Pilates. That's just obviously what I'm extremely obsessed with. It could be anything. Just be obsessed with it and move your body. I think that's important.
So if you could create an ideal week of working out for someone who really wants to look and feel their best, what do you recommend? Is it like give me a week-long schedule?
I love strength training. Also, I do incorporate heavy weights in my reformer classes. So sometimes if I'm doing a lunge, I'll have my clients grab 8-pound weights or 10-pound weights. You're getting the same movement pattern that you would on the mat at a gym and the same weight, right? You get to add the reformer, which helps to activate your core, and your other stabilizers, which are just like add to the actual movement. So, I mean, I'm partial, so I could say just stick with Pilates. Just make sure that the Pilates feels different for you. There's some Pilates, you probably remember from my retreat, one was probably a little band heavy, one was a little bit weight heavy, one
Yes.
was more stretchy, kind of, flexion, extension, that sort of movement pattern. I personally stick with Pilates and walking for me. And that's what I would tell my clients who are asking for help. But, I think as long as you have Pilates 3 to 4 days a week, walking on the other days, or playing tennis, like anything that gets your cardiovascular up. Pickleball is a huge thing. People love that. But it just depends on what you're into. Like if you like strength training, great. Do a couple days of strength training, couple days of Pilates, maybe one day of yoga, stretchy meditation. Perfect.
Love that. And then how much do you recommend people walk? Is it like the 10,000 steps every day? Like, what do you like?
This is how I feel about the 10,000 steps. My clients are like, oh, I'm just trying to get my steps in. I'm like, all day you've been thinking about your steps. For 6 hours you've been thinking about your steps. And how many have you done? She's like, 6,000. I literally walked from my house all the way to Beverly Hills, back, and it was only 6,000. I was like, and then to think you have the rest of your day, you have to get 4,000 more steps in. I feel like it's clouding people's brains. Like they're so focused on the steps. Yes, you should move your body. I don't know how many steps you can get walking on a treadmill, but when I was pregnant and I was with a nutritionist, I was definitely walking probably 2 to 3 miles every other day. I know people love getting steps in, but I feel like if it's clouding your thoughts all day long, I feel like that has to not be great.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you should be stressed out about
Yeah,
it.
I have clients that are stressed. Only done 2,000. What should I do the rest of the day? I'm like, that's just too stressful for me to talk about.
Yeah, no, it shouldn't be because I feel like that's like the raising of the cortisol, and then you're holding on to the weight that you're trying to lose, or like, you know what I mean?
But
like,
how long does it take someone to get 10,000 steps?
I think it's actually like an hour and 20 minutes, I want to say. It's not bad. And so, or like maybe an hour 30, and I say this because I do between 8 to 10 every day,
That's
but
great.
I have to take my meetings while walking because it's not like I don't have time to do an hour and a half walk on a fucking weekday.
No.
Like no one has time to do that. That plus a workout, no. So it has to be like sprinkled in throughout the day because also like sitting sedentary for me, that doesn't work. Like I can't just sit at my desk for 8 hours and like be productive. Like that's
fair.
crazy. So
it's so much easier in New York or Europe.
Oh,
You just like
yeah.
somehow
Oh
just
my God.
easily get 20,000. And you're like, what?
I know, it's crazy. Like I was in Paris for work in April. And it was like I'd been in LA basically like since the start of the year into April. And so like I got into this like kind of funk when it came to walking, and I was getting like maybe 5,000-6,000 steps. And I was like, it's fine, whatever. Go to Paris, and I was there for 3 or 4 days. Every day it was like 18,000 steps. I'm like, how did this happen?
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's
so
incredible.
And then you think about LA and you're just not wanting to walk.
Yeah,
that
you have to
far.
like make an effort or like bake it into your routine somehow. But I agree with you. You can't be stressed about it.
Yeah.
It's like counterintuitive. So I want to talk about the nutrition piece because I know that that's like obviously a very big part of your method. So how did you even get interested in that? Tell us what you recommend. Tell me everything.
So I noticed for me personally, I was working out every day, mostly Pilates, and there would always be this like 5 to 7 pounds. I feel like I was just like, how am I working out this much? I'm not eating that much. How am I holding on to this fat? I couldn't wrap my head around it. You're younger than me, but we grew up in this world where we were counting calories. So I always thought, oh, I have a big meal at night, too big. I've got to just skip breakfast the next day, skip lunch, then probably skip lunch to make sense of the I mean, that's how my brain functioned. That's how I worked. Wrong. That's
Completely wrong, yeah.
so wrong. Especially for women, I ended up getting PCOS. I had a hard time getting pregnant. I was missing my periods. And I knew it was coming from what I was eating, not the quality. Like I always went to like nice restaurants and I ate well, but it was the timing. It was how much I was eating. It was how many carbs I was having at night. It was the red wine. So all of these compounded into me getting PCOS, me feeling overworked, tired, stressed, whatever. So I remember clients would come to me and I'm like, I have to be this good example for them, right? What am I doing? I can't be drinking 4 cappuccinos a day and then not eating till 3 p.m. and then shoving a cookie in my mouth. I'm like, I have to be a good role model for them. So my husband owns restaurants, like he owns Wexler's Deli. And I asked him, I said, clients are asking me about food. I'm not a nutritionist. Maybe we can consult with somebody and maybe we can feed the clients. Like he has a background in food, went to Cornell, like cooked all over Europe. Like he's a chef. And he looked at me and he's like, no, just focus on Pilates. I'm like, you're not listening to me. I'm going to do this without you. So either you're going to help me find someone or I'm going to just do it myself. So then he got scared of me and he's like, okay, I'm going to find somebody for you. He found me Oren, who is now Organic Oren, who he's my partner. And I remember I was like, okay, bring him over. I want to try his food. And he was making food for me. He first made this raw vegetable salad that I couldn't believe. One was vegetable. Two, tasted so good. He made every dressing. I was like, this is my guy. And Mike's like, all right, well, you deal with Oren. He's a private chef to other families. I was like, don't worry about it. So I said to him, I was like, I have a book club with my clients. Please do a spread. I want protein. I want a little bit of healthy carbs, salads, greens, whatever you want. But I want you to do my book club. Had the book club. Oren did this beautiful spread. And I remember people were just like, oh my God, this salmon's amazing. This Japanese yams. Like he made all these dressings. There's no gluten. There's no seed oil. There's no dairy. It was amazing. I couldn't believe the response I got, right? So then I said, okay, I have a couple clients that I've been working with privately that are really asking for at-home chefs. So before I even partnered with Oren, I said, I want you to go to these clients' houses. I want you to cook for them like you do with your other clients. And I want to see how my workout and your food, what it does to their body.
Mm-hmm.
So I did a test and I did a 60-day test with a couple clients. I took before and after photos. And I remember being like, this is my guy. People were energized, happy. I have never seen a transformation like this. I couldn't believe it. I was like, now make me food. I was like, oh my God, now I need to get on it. So then I remember coming to him. I was like, okay, you have to listen to me and trust me. We're going to start a business and you're going to be the chef and you're going to feed my clients. And he's like, I have a job. I was like, I know you need to stop your job and sign this contract. And I remember him being like, this woman is crazy, but I feel like I kind of believe her. So we signed the contract in November 2019. Our first little bit was in January. We were just servicing my clients lunches and soups. That's it. Not breakfast, not dinner, because during that time, people were going out in LA 3 or 4 times a week. People weren't wanting dinner. People were skipping breakfast. I was skipping breakfast. My whole life, I was skipping breakfast. So we started with lunches and soups. Clients were ordering it. They would come, work out, pick up the food. It was like very sweet. And our sales were like very minimal, but I was like, just wait, just calm down. Everything was going to be fine. So every week it went up $500, 500, $1,000, 1,500 in sales. Like it kept going up. March comes, 2020. Everything is closed. No one is going to work anymore. So what happened to my sweet little lunches? I was feeding my clients in soups for dinner. I was like, okay, don't panic. I was like, we have access to all the best farms in California. People are scared to go to the grocery store. We have to do this now. We're going to do meal plans. And I remember him and my husband looked at me like, you're so aggressive. I was like, I know this is going to work. So I said, put together a meal plan for me. I want enough protein. I want enough carbs, healthy carbs. I want to see what it looks like. We'll figure this out. Within 2 days, they gave me something. We started pushing it on Instagram. All right, we're going to do meal plans. You don't have to go to the grocery store. We are going to cook you prepared foods. We're going to do 1 drop on Monday, and you guys are going to be so happy. Within a few weeks, it was literally crazy. Like, we couldn't believe it. We were just getting all these orders. You know how Instagram was and food, like, you know, that little chocolate banana bread. Everyone was buying it. Everyone was obsessed with Organic Oren. Every week we changed the theme. So 1 week it was Spanish theme and 1 week it was French theme. And we try to keep people engaged. And that's how we got the base of our clients. And then we've adjusted. So that was just so crazy, 2020. But we were able to feed clients in a very healthy way. And they became obsessed with Oren and his menus. And now we're 2024. We are now a la carte. So we used to just do meal plans where you could only buy like 1 set. But then we realized people are back to their work. Schedules have shifted. You know what? You guys decide how many breakfasts you want, how many lunch dinners you want, how many little sides of protein that you want. And so now we are opening in Montecito very soon. And in about a month.
I didn't know that. That's incredible.
Yeah. And so everything is still going to be delivery because that's what we are. We're not a storefront. But Organic Oren has just we've been able, and that's another thing too. It's like we get messages from clients and they're like, we feel so healthy and good from your food. Like it feels like we're changing from the inside out. And like, there's nothing better than doing that. And sometimes people forget that I'm a part of it. I was like, it's my idea, the whole thing. I don't cook it at all, not one single thing, but everything from, he had served a salad one time and I picked up the lettuce with my fork. I was like, how am I supposed to get this in my mouth? And he was like, I was like, where's this going? I don't have a knife. How's it getting in my mouth? So he jokes that there's a picture of my mouth in their kitchen. And he goes, if it's not small enough to fit in that mouth, it's too big. Because I was just, how am I supposed to eat this?
I love that. And also, I mean, for anyone who is like LA based, because you guys deliver all around LA, right?
LA, Santa Barbara, San Diego, Newport. So we're pretty much all up the coast.
He's incredible.
Yeah.
Like absolutely incredible. And you're so right. Like the food is obviously like so healthy and so clean, but actually so freaking delicious.
And tasty. Like flavor.
So yummy.
Like sometimes these like meal delivery companies, like it's hard and then you let it sit out and it's like, what is in there? And you're just like, and it's like tiny this big. I'm over the portions. I'm over all of that stuff. And, when I saw a nutritionist, Dr. Golia in Santa Monica, who I love, and I've sent a lot of clients to him, he was the first person that told me, you don't have to be afraid of food. Food is fuel for your body.
Yes.
And he said, if you had your car on the freeway and your car is empty going down the fast lane, how are you expecting to drive?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I don't know. He's like, your car is fuel. He's like, your body needs food as fuel. And it's something just shifted in my brain. I am no longer afraid of food. So anyone that is struggling with like a food, anything to do with food and their body, when I eat breakfast now, I'm like, I am fueling my body for the rest of the day. He told me if I just wake up, open my eyes in bed, I'm burning 2,300 calories a day. He goes, add that, 2 kids, working 9 hours, teaching Pilates, then you work out. He's like, Amanda, you're going to be at a deficit. He's like, you're not eating enough, which is why you're not losing weight.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what? I need to eat more? He's like, more, lots more. And I was just about to go to Italy. I was just had my daughter. And I was like, if you turn me into something that I don't want to be, I'm going to tell everyone that I know. He's like, try me. I'm the best in the biz. I was like, okay. I saw him for 2 weeks. I was doing my, eating, whatever. I come into his office. I lifted up my shirt. I was like, look at my abs. And he's like, please put your shirt down. I was like, but see, look, do you see what's happening to my body? And he's like, I know what's happening. You're heating up your metabolism. I was eating just for like my day, if you want to know what I was part of my day.
I want to know.
I was eating 2 to 3 eggs with 1 to 2 corn mini tortillas, a side of organic orange berries. And that was breakfast. And then 2 hours later, I'd have another organic orange berries. And then for lunch, I would eat organic orange, either our chicken salad or salmon salad. So like a meat or a fish and veggies or a salad. And then 2 hours afterwards, I'd have more fruit and a nut butter. But we don't serve nut butter at Organic Orange. Mm-hmm. So you have to do that on your own. And then for dinner, I would have meat and cooked veggies, no carbs. And then at night, another half cup of organic orange berries. I would eat so much food. By the time dinner came, I was like, I can't believe I have to eat dinner. But I ate it, and my body started to trust me that I was giving it food. And then it was no longer holding on to fat anymore. Mm-hmm. So when I tell people, I would sometimes have like white rice or corn tortilla for breakfast and lunch. Sometimes I'd add a carb for lunch. They couldn't believe how much food I was eating, and I was dropping weight like that. I lost 12 pounds in 1 month eating more food.
Well, this is the thing that like I think a lot of people don't even realize that people have been so like trained to be scared of the food.
Scared.
That you're under eating and then your body doesn't want to lose any fat because it's like scared.
It's scared.
You know?
It's
and
like it doesn't know when it's going to get food again.
Exactly.
So it's like you can work out and be on that Peloton bike or tread for 4 hours. It doesn't matter. We're not going to get rid of this fat.
Yeah.
And so then once you start giving your body food, your body's almost like, okay, I trust you. I'll let go of a pound, you know? And it just starts. So now I'm not afraid of breakfast. I'm excited for breakfast. And I start noticing if I miss a fruit or I miss my nut butter in the afternoon, my energy levels, I'm just like, I'm so tired. Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, oh my God, I skipped my snack. I can feel my body's response. He would tell me, he's like, if you start feeling tired, I need you to add your healthy carb back in for your lunch. Because sometimes, if I was like really trying to get down to my weight, we would skip the healthy carb for lunch. But if I started feeling tired, he's like, you got to add that carb back in. Do not let your body go back to how it was. So, Oren makes this Japanese yam that's literally incredible. It's so delicious and tasty. And that is such an easy little add on to breakfast or lunch if you need that healthy carb. Um, and yeah.
I love that. I mean, and like such a good lesson, I think, for everyone to take away from
Mhm.
me from here. Okay, I want to move on to audience questions.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about those.
Okay, so speaking of the fact that we've been talking about neutral, someone actually asked, what is neutral?
Great. So I actually, on my app, I started, I will tell you, I know I'm talking so much today, but whenever a client first comes to me, I ask them, what's neutral? Show me what neutral is right now. And they're all wrong. Every single one. I've not gotten one client, a new client, that had gotten it right.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that most people are going out, working out, not in neutral. Most of them think neutral is imprint, which is really surprising to me, like really surprising. So neutral position, for example, for your pelvis is where your ASIS and your PSIS, those are your two front hip bones and then your two back bones right above your sacrum. They are parallel and aligned and stacked parallel to the floor. So if you're lying on your back, for example, neutral position is where your pelvis lays flat. So a cue that I sometimes use is you can put a cup of water on your pelvis that's filled to the top. That water is not tipping forward or back. So your pelvis is really, really flat in a sense. It also means that there's a little natural curve in your lumbar spine. So if you're laying on your back, let's say on the reformer on the mat, and you should be in neutral, you should feel that little space in your mid back. That's neutral. And sometimes you'll go to classes and they'll say, neutral. Oh, okay. Do people know what that means? Because some people are jamming their back into the carriage and tilting their pelvis. And so now they're actually not connecting to the right muscles. Now you're working out in a posterior tilt, which is not right.
Yeah.
So neutral for your pelvis basically means what I just told you. But there's neutral scapula, neutral cervical spine, which I kind of go through that. I do all of that. It's called Amanda's Secrets on my Pilates app. And I go through every single position of your body where neutral should be.
Wow, I love that. And explain what imprint is.
So imprint is when you're, for example, if you're laying flat, like on the mat or the reformer, and you use your obliques to imprint your spine, not your glutes. So sometimes, you'll hear other people cue like belly button to spine. I hate that. Most of the time people say belly button to spine, I see people suck up and then their ribs are open and they're trying to suck up and get the belly button. But why I don't like that cue is because of that. But imprint is your obliques. There's two up here and two down here. So almost think like a little square over your torso. So when you inhale, your square gets bigger, your obliques widen. And when you exhale, candle breath, that's a Pilates breath, the obliques will shorten and you'll use your obliques to imprint that little space that you had in neutral. You'll imprint that to the mat. And it's really small. It's not a jam. So don't squeeze your butt to tilt your pelvis to get an imprint. Because I see that a lot too, where people are just like, oh, imprint.
Yeah.
Oh, back to mat, belly button to spine, they do this. And it starts to recruit your shoulders and all that. And you don't want to use any of that. You actually just want to use your breath and your obliques.
Love that. Okay. Do you work out daily or just squeeze it in when you can?
The truth is I squeeze it in when I can. So if I have a client late cancel, I'm on the mat and I'll film for my app, which is great. My schedule right now, I teach 8 to 5. So by the time I'm done, 5:30, I drive home. I have to put the kids to bed. So maybe I'll do a walk on the tread or I'll squeeze in like a quick Pilates mat. I mostly do mat, to be honest. Yeah, it's hard.
If someone's a beginner and is having trouble building lasting fitness habits, what do you recommend?
Consistency. So I know that's hard to even imagine if you feel like you can't even get to the mat. One is start to like what you do. So find an instructor, find a program, find a studio, whatever that is that you start to feel that you like, and then be consistent with it. For my app, I have a monthly calendar and I give one day off on the calendar. And sometimes the workouts are 20 minutes, sometimes they're 10, sometimes they're 50. And the way that I design the week is, okay, you might have a couple really long days and then you'll have like a little break 20-minute. But as long as you're consistent and you're working those muscles in a way in neutral, you're going to start feeling those results. And I just think for me, even printing out a calendar and like putting a sticker that I've completed it or putting it in your calendar. Okay, I already have a crazy work schedule. Let me put in at 5:30 when I'm done, even if it's a 20-minute workout. Don't be scared of the hour workouts. If you feel like, driving to your studio takes 30 minutes and then it's an hour and then 30 minutes back, that's 2 hours out of your day. So if you're someone that's time sensitive, 30-minute full body on the mat will change your body and change your life. 30 minutes.
Yeah. I love that because I think a lot of the times people overcomplicate it and then they put so much pressure on themselves. And then you have like almost this fatigue from the amount of thought you've put into it.
Mhm.
And I think one thing that I've noticed with every expert I've had on this podcast is that like, even if it's just 20 minutes that you can fit
Yeah.
in, just get it in.
Yeah.
Just get it done.
I mean, some clients will drive, which I love you guys. Thank you so much for driving from Malibu and all these crazy places to see me, like drive 45 minutes. I'm like,
Wow.
I really love you.
That's
Can you
dedication.
not find somebody? And they're like, no, but you're the best. Like, I want to come here. If there's like a traffic issue or they can't get to me, I Zoom with them. I'm like,
Mhm.
put on your computer. Let me do a 160-minute class with you on the mat so you don't have to drive. But sometimes I tell clients, I'm like, if you can't get to me, you have to be consistent. Otherwise, it's time and effort and money coming to me. And if you can't keep it up, then what's the point?
Yeah, 100%. For new moms, how do you get back to working out and feeling like yourself after having a baby?
So I deal with a lot of postpartum mommies. So first session with me, I'm going to be checking if you have diastasis. I'm going to check your breathing to see if you can connect to your deep core muscles. How's your pelvic floor feeling? It's a lot of trauma down there, giving birth, whether it's vaginally or C-section. I've had C-section for both of my babies. And it's really just taking the time to get their ribs back together. Because a lot of times when you're pregnant, your ribs flare. It takes time for the ribs to come back together. And I always tell clients, they're in such a rush to get to me. My doctor cleared me. I'm like, calm the fuck down. Calm down. You're not gonna go run for 60 minutes right now. You literally just had a baby. But it wasn't, I've done my prenatal, postpartum training. Nothing prepares you for actually having a baby and going through that. I remember I was like, oh, I'm gonna be fine. I was doing a Revolve mat live video. It was during COVID, right after I had my daughter. I was 7 weeks postpartum. I had not worked out, but I was going to do this live video for people. I tried to come up into a crunch. I tried to lift my head. I could not lift my head. I stopped. It was here. I tried to come up and I just was like, oh my God, I have no strength. And like you learn
Yeah.
about it, but until you're actually like in it and feeling it. So on the spot, I was like, now keep your head down for the next move, arms by your side, legs in tabletop. We're going to take I had to change my routine on the spot because I couldn't lift my head up. So I tell clients, I'm like, listen, your muscle has memory. You will be fine. All my clients are fine, but be nice to yourself. Be gentle. Don't feel like yes, you have that baby weight. If anything, start getting your nutrition on point. Then come and see me when you build a little strength, when your uterus has shrunk and you feel better down there, So I will tell, even though like it's better for me if you come in right away,
Yeah.
but I'm very honest with clients. I'm like, please don't be stressed out. We will get you back to where you want to be. I had a client was like, I already booked 3 sessions the week that I get cleared. I was like, well, you haven't gotten cleared. You may not get cleared. Why would you do that? People are like so
Of
panicky
course,
about their
yeah.
body. And I always tell people like, I promise you, let your body not feel stressed about it. That shouldn't be the first thing you think about. Be with your baby, deal with mental health issues. I mean, postpartum is a big mental health issue. Just feel good before you just rush into a crazy workout routine.
So when someone does give birth, do you recommend, or I guess like not, I guess before, do you recommend that they do Pilates while they're pregnant?
100%.
And then does that
Oh,
help
yes.
afterwards as well?
The breathing, the way you push, the way you understand pulling your belly in so you don't get diastasis, which is the ab separation. Everyone gets a little bit of it, right? Your six-pack muscles go up and down. You have a baby, your belly goes out. You're going to, obviously, this is the space between your abdomen. It's going to get big. It's everyone. And then when you have a baby, you hope that your abs come back together. And sometimes it's not. Sometimes it looks like this. And then we work on building and repairing that. Pilates is amazing because it teaches you to pull your belly in a way that doesn't put pressure on your abdomen, which is great. Pilates was amazing. I did it 5 days a week with both my kids. Loved it. It was great.
Love that. This has been incredible. Tell everyone where they can find you.
You can find me at Pilates by Amanda on Instagram. My app is called Core Clubs, Core Club Pilates, and I do everything from prenatal, postnatal. I talk about all the secrets. So that first session where I go through the principles with clients, I teach that all on my app. So you can just go on and learn all the secrets right
Mm,
away. And by the way, if you know those things, it will be better for your routine at your studio that's closest to you.
amazing. Thank you so much for being
Thank you for
here.
having me.